Now, what's really interesting about this exhibition is it has not one, but 2 specimens from living donors. And in fact, one of those specimens is from our former museum director, Dr. Robert Hicks. He had a skin cancer procedure, and he donated his slides. We actually have an informal friends and family plan. So if you work here, if you're one of our friends, and any bit or piece of you happens to fall off, be removed, we don't ask too many questions, but we would like to have it.
When was the last time you were afraid? Really afraid?
We also have a jar of picked human skin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Heavy Leather Horror Show podcast, your weekly guide to all things horror from the heart of Witch City, Salem, Massachusetts. I'm your old pal Ken, a.k.a. rock and roll writer, sleaze grinder, and there she is, everybody. It's Salem's greatest hauntress, Kelly Kapow.
Woo! Hey, everyone.
She's very popular. Yes!
Not as popular.
Yes! Yes!
She actually has a live studio audience in her house.
She does. She does. I gravitate towards people that everybody likes so that I can soak up some of their charisma. So that's why I like to keep her around. Also, with us, the Salem Jason, everybody. Making a return trip. All the way from Camp Crystal Lake. Hey, buddy.
So spooky.
Quite a trek. Takes dedication.
Had to take a boat to get here. There he is, breathing heavily. Also...
You wouldn't believe.
Also, Rui, the 15-year-old intern, is here. Also,
Rui!
Yeah, a little clapping for Rui. I'm glad to see him.
I have no sound effects anywhere, so...
Here you go, buddy. Yeah, it's Rui, the 15-year-old intern. By the way...
Yes.
By the way... All right. Soon to be the 16-year-old intern. Your world is really going to change when you're 16, buddy.
It's going to be a very strange 16. Pretty much anybody turning 16 this year is going to have a very strange year.
I mean, it's really not going to change much for you, but it'd be nice to imagine if it was going to change. You can one thing you can do now is you can get your license and then you can drive around.
That is right. I mean, what a time to drive around. I mean,
exactly. There's nobody else.
Good.
There's nobody else on the road, so you can be a terrible driver and you're not even gonna hit anything.
Probably not. Yeah, unless there's a drunk deer somewhere.
Maybe I should finally learn how to drive.
Do you not know how to drive? That's exciting.
Don't be like me, Rui. Get your goddamn license. You don't want to try to learn to drive when you're 32 years old.
Yeah, my sister is 7 years older than me, and I have a bet that I'm going to learn to drive before her.
By the way, that's probably what will happen. I mean, if you're getting driven around, you don't really have to worry about it. Your sister must be getting rides, right? So it hasn't been an issue.
Yeah, and biking.
If that's, if that's your life, then everything's fine. It's just when suddenly you have to go someplace and there's no one to get you there, then you go, fuck, I got to learn how to drive.
Yeah.
I guess I've always gotten a ride.
Right. Well, I learned to drive when I was 20 because prior to that I took the subway and it was fine, and then suddenly it was like I got to get somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, in a sane world, I would have Rui, the intern, pushing the buttons and turning the knobs for me, but I don't, so I got to do it all myself. So bear with me if things don't work out, but. Yeah, I'm not.
You don't have any audio-video surfs at your lair there.
Right, exactly. So, let's get going. The bats are in the belfry. There they are, and the monsters are changed up in the dungeon. So all right, thank you, monsters. Thank you, bats.
Oysters punch.
So let's get to the show. We're primarily a TV show, but we are broadcasting from my basement until we can get back to our haunted studio across from Halloween Alley. Everything we've done so far, including the podcast and all our TV shows, by the way, and all our amazing promos, they're all up now on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Heavy Leather Horror Show, which I've been working on diligently all week long. So that's pretty exciting.
Nice.
I also want to remind you that we are part of the Campaneros Radio Network. Go Campaneros is their site. You can check out Movie Melt, Get Soft with Dr. Snuggles, Songs on Trial, and now the Heavy Leather Horror Show podcast, all at Campaneros. Whoop. Kelly, you and I should go on Get Soft with Dr. Snuggles one of these days.
I would love to do that. The title alone, it really gets me every time.
I think we'll have a good time. Hey, this week and every week, we'll have a little horror news. We'll be talking some horror movies that we've seen lately, and we'll be reviewing a film together. This week, it's The Lodge. Everybody, The Lodge. But before all that, usually Kate is here to do the Murder Minute, but she's not here. She's fixing her sink sprung a leak right before the show. So I'm gonna play the Murder Minute intro, and then I'm gonna hope by the end of it that somebody has a murder for us. So here we go. Kelly's got a little something. Tell us about what you got, buddy.
Okay, Richard Trenton Chase. You know who that is?
Richard Chase, the vampire guy.
Sacramento vampire killer.
Right.
Do you know that he thought he had soap dish poisoning? So that's when he got caught finally, because he was completely dissociated, and I think he was schizophrenic. So when he got caught, he had blood all over him, and they went to his house, and there was like a fucking organs on his counter and shit and blenders and stuff. And they asked him, obviously, why'd you do this, buddy? And he said that he had soap dish poisoning, and what it was, it turned your organs, I believe, into dust or something. And the way that you basically deal with having soap dish poisoning is by eating other people's organs and drinking blood. And I guess what soap dish poisoning was to him is if you have a bar of soap and you flip it over, and if it's gooey underneath, you have soap dish poisoning. That
often happens. It gets if you use bar soap, you're right. He's right. Richard Chase is right. It's gooey underneath.
Well, we would all have it then, right?
Yeah,
that's might have taken a bite of a bar of soap.
That's the confusing part is maybe we all have soap dish poisoning.
Kate's going to tell you about a better murder that she probably knows a lot more about it.
Wait a minute.
Hi there.
Oh, Kate's here. She saw.
Do it, Kate.
Hey, Kate. Kate's here, everybody. She solved her sprung leak. Good for you, buddy.
Well, it's not solved, but my partner is working on it.
Okay. By the way, I just wanted to mention, speaking of Richard Chase, there's a great movie based on the Richard Chase scenario, which is it's called Rampage. Have you ever seen it?
Oh no!
Oh my God, it's so good. It's one of the scariest and most affecting serial killer movies I've ever seen. It's from the late '80s, early '90s. Rampage, check it out.
All right, I have to check that one out.
Watch that.
Yeah.
Am I right though? Is that what happened with him?
As far as I remember, I don't remember the soap dish part. I remember him saying that all his organs were disintegrating, and that's why he had to kill people and eat them. But I don't remember that it was from soap dish. But that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense for him.
Yeah.
All right, Kate, what do you got for us, bud?
I got a murder for you guys. Sometimes when I just don't know what mood I'm in or what kind of murder I want to talk about, I just go to Murderpedia, which is a really wonderful website. And I just kind of randomly look for stuff. And a lot of times it's the motive that strikes me. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't even care what happened. I'm going to tell them about this murder because the motive is so good. And that's what I have for you today.
Okay, good.
I'm so excited.
So I'm going to tell you about Della Sorensen, who killed 8 people between 1918 and 1924 in rural Nebraska. Most of her victims were her family members. So her young daughter died, and she kind of liked that experience so much that she started giving poison candy to her sister-in-law's children, so nieces and nephews. Killed a couple of them, really liked it, started killing some more family members by poisoning them. And then she got caught in 1925 because she tried to kill 2 kids in her neighborhood by giving them poisoned cookies. But they lived, they just got very sick. And they were like, she gave us cookies, and then we got sick. And when she was arrested for trying to kill these two kids, they were like, why did you do this? And she said, quote, I like to attend funerals. I'm happy when someone is dying.
Wow.
She also, for other murders, when they were like, why did you continually give poison candy to like infants of like, your brother and your sister-in-law's kids? And she was like, I just wanted to get even with her for things she was saying about me.
Wow.
That's
There you
more.
go.
That's not so much an eye for an eye. That's more so an eye for a splinter or something.
It's definitely
like
it's a big reaction.
Yeah.
She likes going to funerals. She likes wearing black.
I'm trying to think about whether I haven't gone to that many funerals.
So when people are dying all around her.
I'm wondering if I like going to funerals or not. Now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't gone to that many, so.
I mean, they're not
I feel like
great.
it would be much easier for her nowadays to do things like this because she wouldn't have to actually kill people to go to funerals. She could just like look online to see.
Yeah, you
like,
could
who
just
died
go.
in her
I mean,
area.
I would say this. I think that I would probably, I probably wouldn't mind going to funerals if they weren't, people that I cared about. If I was just, if they were just strangers, then it would probably be fun. I mean, not fun, but it would be
Funeral
interesting.
crashing.
You want to see a
Funeral
funeral
crashing.
crasher.
Do you
Is
think
that a
people
thing?
do
Funeral
that?
crasher.
I bet people do it.
That's
My
so
Probably not
fucking weird.
file now.
my grandmother is a mourner, or she used to be. So she would go to like Catholic funerals and just like show up, and
Just
nobody
any of
knows who she was.
Yeah.
And she'd just like cry in front of the coffin.
Is that like a religious thing? Like, oh, this like it's better for their soul if more people go mourn them, or is that like a really morbid? She just really like to go cry at funerals thing.
It's probably a
Well,
combo.
I think it's definitely a Catholic thing, but perhaps a mix of the two.
Yeah, because
It's gonna be a nice, sweet release,
because it
Had
seems.
a bad week, go let it all out.
Cathartic for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. It seems sad when there's a funeral and then there's very few people there. But however, the person that the funeral is for doesn't care one way or the other. So it's not like they're looking up from above and going, "Man, I wish more people came." So it doesn't really matter. But the whole
Unless
concept
they're
is.
actually
Oh, wait,
alive.
how do you know? How many
And they're
people did
gonna
we
judge
judge?
everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Thank you, Kate.
Imagine that. Though.
You are welcome. I'm glad I got to
The
do
murder
it.
minute. I'm glad that you're here. A couple of things before we get to the movies. I have a little. Here we go. This is my horror news music. The Milford Drive-In in Milford, New Hampshire opened this weekend. By the way,
Yes,
that's pretty
I
exciting.
Saw that.
Nice.
So drive-ins they're set to make a comeback during this pandemic. That's the word on the street. So I guess we'll see that happen. So here's a little sounds of the drive-in. Oh yeah, here we go. It brings me back. Oh, it brings me right back to 1977. Watching Suspiria and Race with the Devil and people honking. I don't know why they're honking, but they honk a lot. They see something they like, they honk a lot.
Is that true? Did people honk to react
Except
to
you
the
do when
movie?
the movie.
Oh yeah,
ends, right?
totally.
Like, clap.
It's like
that
yelling
what
at the screen,
I was gonna say,
except
talking during a movie.
yeah, exactly. But especially during like if you're seeing a horror movie and then there's a death scene that people really like, everybody honks their horns. It's very exciting.
Oh.
So
Oh,
currently,
yeah, that
about
guy's
this.
bleeding out. Let's all honk.
right? So currently, they are showing a double feature of The Hunt, which was great, and The Invisible Man, which I also hear is very good.
Ooh.
Sold out this weekend though. I think you have to make an appointment at this point to go to the drive-in.
Is The Hunt the new one where it's like The Hunger Games meets The Most Dangerous Game?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I watched it on. They had a thing. Universal has a thing now, where they instead of their release dates, instead of opening them in theaters, they're just putting them online. Oh, they're charging a lot. They're charging $15. It's still $15 to see Invisible Man if you want.
Jesus.
So
Well, because they can't control how many
That's
people
friggin'
are
insane.
watching it.
yeah, no, it's true. So it makes sense. I think I paid either $15 or $20, something like crazy, but like that to see The Hunt. But I wanted to see it. I don't want to see. I want to see The Invisible Man, but I don't want to see it for $15. So I'm waiting for that to change. But
Yeah.
I want to see it only because of Elizabeth Moss.
Sure,
Even though she's
I'm-
a crazy Scientologist.
yeah, and
Is she? Oh my God. Is she?
Yeah, it's so
That's
sad.
unfortunate.
Funny,
That's
you
really
guys are saying I
unfortunate.
want to see in the Invisible Man.
I think.
You want to
I mean, I think the drive-ins are really the only hope for movies getting released this year. So, you know, if you can support them, please do it. Turns out Milford, New Hampshire is just an hour from here, so I definitely think I'm going to try to do that.
Oh,
By
They're
the way,
sold out, right? For opening
So you've
weekend
heard about
already?
Salem
sold
strike.
out for opening weekend, but I think, you know, you can start booking ahead, you know, for the next few weeks. The latest chapter in Universal and Blumhouse's hit horror franchise, The Purge, sadly, everybody, has been indefinitely delayed. I've never,
There's not going to be another fucking Purge
I've never seen any of the Purges.
What a shame.
The Purge,
I can't
aka
wait for Purge 57.
The Purge
Oh, I thought
5,
everybody's
aka The Forever Purge, was set to hit theaters on July 10th. But now they've been pulled from the studio's calendar altogether.
Joke or what? The entire franchise needs to be purged.
I haven't. That was good, buddy. That was good. I haven't seen any of them, but
Really?
they seem like horror movies for dummies. I'm not sure, but that's just the vibe.
I
All
watched
right.
the first Purge movie like a year ago just to see what it was all about,
Yeah.
and it was not at all what I was expecting.
Okay.
And I think you should watch the first one, Ken. I haven't seen any of the other ones.
Okay.
It's not good,
Yeah,
but I think you should watch it.
but it has
It's definitely not good.
it's got social commentary.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like
It
it's for like
tries.
lazy serial killers.
How like heavy-handedly does it try?
Yeah.
It just isn't making a good point. Like it's
I think-
just not well done enough. Mainly
Well,
you
it's
just
called
get
Purge.
frustrated because everyone's dumb in it. It's one of those movies where like so much death could be avoided if people weren't stupid. And
Right. Well, that really has a direct correlation to the life that we're living right now.
I can't believe it's gone on this far. I can't believe there's so many of them.
Yeah, I
I
know.
can't
I'm
believe they keep making
I'm
them.
very surprised. So they're obviously they're, but it's almost like it reminds me of you know there's a huge you know Christian music industry, right? And you go, what are you talking about? But it's a $1 billion industry. We just don't know anything about it because
I mean, as someone without a car who takes a lot of Ubers and Lyfts, at least before the pandemic, I feel like I know a lot about the Christian music industry. It's always playing.
really, I don't really know anything about it, but I know it exists, and it's obviously got you know a huge fan base, and I kind of feel the same way about Purge, and I'm assuming it's the same people. It's just,
Christian music
I think
industry.
there is there's a good overlap in that Venn diagram, I think.
yeah, I think so. Right?
And
You
like
know-
NRA supporters.
Yeah. You know, I think we should like take the producers of all the Purge movies and just put them into like a room and have them fight to the death, and then whoever wins can make the next Purge movie.
That
Film
sounds
it.
like a great idea.
They have a lot of
No,
fodder.
film it. That will be the movie.
Yeah.
Hong Kong tear gas is among the new flavors at a Hong Kong ice cream shop.
Oh, Jesus.
Tear gas?
Yeah, tear gas. The main ingredient is black peppercorns, a reminder of the pungent, peppery rounds fired by police on the streets of the semi-autonomous Chinese city during months of demonstrations last year. It tastes like tear gas. It feels difficult to breathe at first, and it's really pungent and irritating. It makes me want to drink a lot of water immediately, said customer Anita Wong, who experienced tear gas at a protest. I think it's a flashback that reminds me of how painful I felt in the movement, and that I shouldn't forget it. The flavor is a sign of support for the pro-democracy movement. Guy who runs the shop says he's selling 20 to 30 scoops a day, you know, before the pandemic hit.
Wow.
What the
That's
fuck?
really something.
Yeah.
You guys ever just eaten whole peppercorns, like just with nothing else, like put whole peppercorns in
if
your
you got
mouth
a
and chewed on them?
That's good.
Not
It's,
yet.
it's really an experience. They have like they can counteract certain medicinal things. So I've eaten black peppercorns, and wow, it's hard.
Is it?
It's terrible.
Would it be anti-inflammatory, or would it be would it inflame me? I don't know what it would do. What medically, what would it do for me?
Basically, if you are too high for marijuana
Okay.
and you eat black peppercorns, it has an immediate dampening effect on
Oh,
that.
that's exciting. All right.
Good to
I've
know.
eaten the Szechuan peppercorns because a friend of mine tricked me, and he made this vodka that was infused with Szechuan peppercorns, right?
That was
And I
I
guess
had someone do that to me.
what happens if you drink this, it makes you violently throw up immediately. And
Well, if you do it wrong,
the
yes.
introduction. I missed the introduction. So I thought it was just going to be a spicy alcohol. And I was like, I like alcohol and I like spicy stuff. This is going to be great. It was fucking terrible. It was on Halloween years ago. It ruined my entire night. I took the whole shot down, and within like 30 seconds, my mouth just became like super watery, and I was like, just that feeling of, when you're gonna hurl. And I painted the town because it was fucking terrible.
So if done correctly, when you infuse alcohol with Szechuan peppers, it just has a numbing effect. So it will numb your mouth when you drink it. Whoever made that vodka that you had did a bad job.
Oh, yeah. Do not recommend that.
When restaurants do open again, they're going to have to follow rules of social distancing. And they can only be half full. That's going to be the new rule for a while. So there's a restaurant in D.C. called The Inn, and when they open again, Chef Patrick O'Connell plans to seat unused tables with mannequins wearing vintage 1940s style outfits.
Ooh.
Honestly, now, obviously there's a heavy creep factor with that concept. Especially with the 1940s outfits. That makes it even worse.
Well, I think you have to lean really hard into it. Like, this could be great, but you have to mean to be creepy at this point.
Right. It's really going to be an experience. I kind of hope that it catches on and it just stays that way. That would be fine with me.
I think it will.
I saw a thing where people were putting, like, a mom and pop diner somewhere in the Midwest in a state that's reopened, had, like, blow-up dolls, just not clothed blow-up dolls.
Like sex blow-up dolls? That's a little...
There's something really uncomfortable about eating with a bunch of mannequins sitting around me.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. There's this chicken restaurant. There's this chicken restaurant like 2 doors down from the YMCA in Central Square in Cambridge. And it's mostly populated by dudes that are renting rooms at the Y. And there's 4 tables in there, but it's almost always just one guy eating by himself at each table. So the nickname of the restaurant is Lonely Man's Chicken. How nice would it be if they all had mannequins to keep them company? For once in their miserable life, they have somebody to eat chicken with.
That's so sad.
I think it would be great. So that's the future.
Like it would turn into like a very crazy Japanese horror real quick.
It's just another segment of the dystopia that we're living in that we'll soon be eating with mannequins.
And people will probably start talking to them because...
Oh, of course.
I mean, yeah, it's where we live in.
I do like it. You feel obligated. You do feel obligated when you're having a meal with someone to keep up a steady pattern of conversation. And it can be exhausting sometimes, depending on what the company is. So this is a great way to just alleviate that. You don't feel alone, but you also don't feel obligated to talk through the whole thing. So it's kind of nice.
I'm wondering how many mannequins are in Ken's house.
I do like mannequins, as you know. If you've ever seen our television show, The Heavy Leather Topless Dance Party, the room is full of mannequins. And we had another one for the Heavy Leather music video show. We so far don't have any mannequins at the horror show, but I'm sure some will show up eventually. Change. I do like them. I like having them around. I don't talk to them.
So nice.
I don't see them as companions, but I do like having them around. They fill up the room. Makes it seem like
you don't talk to
them. You don't have to.
Makes it seem like more things are going on.
From the Black Leather Lagoon.
Right, exactly. My fave video this week is of the waving corpse in Indonesia. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's a funeral. The coffin has just been laid down into the grave, and through a glass window in the lid of the coffin, it looks as though the corpse is waving. It's very exciting.
Wow.
That's
creepy.
That's spooky.
What makes it a little more unnerving is that the priest had just stated in his eulogy there, God has said in the book of John, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, he will live even though he is dead. So he says that, and then the corpse waves.
It had to be intentional.
They just double check them?
He's like,
They
"Holy shit, I
double
ain't
check
dead.
that
Let
they're
me get the hell out
dead.
of here."
Some believe the corpse was saying goodbye, while others fear that the person was accidentally buried alive.
Or he's a zombie.
Other more rational explanations offered include a mouse or the effects of rigor mortis.
Oh.
Honestly, it probably is just like a rat that's tugging on his arm that's just eating him while he's in there.
That is all grim. All of the options are grim.
It's still,
I think
whatever
I'd
it is,
rather
it's
he
still
be buried alive than the rat.
It's still pretty good. Look up Indonesian funeral and you'll see the waving corpse. Pretty good. One last gag, really, I think, is what that guy was up to.
Definitely. You hear about the Irish guy? You hear about the Irish guy who buried a speaker in his coffin?
No.
And so after they buried him, he just played a sound where it's him banging on it saying, "Let me out, let me out."
Funny.
Oh, I remember that.
Funny.
Yeah.
But that's so cruel to the poor person who keeps the grounds at that cemetery. He's probably never going to be able to work again.
During these quarantine
I will never
times.
drink this whiskey ever again. Oh.
This is it. I'm quitting drinking now. During these quarantine times, we try and find interesting virtual presentations for you. And this week, I discovered that there's a virtual tour of the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia on YouTube. Do you know it's pronounced
Oh,
Mutter?
that's awesome. I love that place.
I always thought it was Mutter, but it's actually pronounced Mutter.
Well, I've been fucking saying it wrong for years.
Have you been calling it the Mutter Museum?
Yeah.
It sounds better.
Turns out it's
Everyone
Mutter.
in Philly calls it the Mutter Museum.
I looked it up because I didn't want to fuck it up, and it turns out it's Mutter. But regardless, America's finest museum of medical history, the Mutter Museum, displays its beautifully preserved collections of anatomical specimens, models, and medical instruments in a 19th century cabinet museum setting. It is mostly known, though, for really gross stuff. And this virtual tour has plenty of it. It's on YouTube. I watched it last night. Here's a little taste from when the tour guide showed off one of my favorites, which was the megacolon. Check it out. There we go.
Just the name.
Now, behind me is the world's largest human colon on display, at least to our knowledge. If you know of one bigger, please let me know. This one is 8 feet, 4 inches long. It measures about 1.5 feet at its widest diameter, and at the time of death, it held about 40 pounds of fecal material.
Nice. The megacolon.
Oh,
Pretty good.
the megacolon.
Huh.
That's so much.
I know.
matter.
It's so big. You gotta go and watch this thing. It's the biggest. You can't believe how big the colon
that's
is.
a horror movie right there.
And it was inside of a guy, 29-year-old guy, who had
Attack
only.
of the megacolon.
Yeah, he
How
wrote.
big did was he all colon?
He must have been all colon because
At least half.
he only had a one bowel movement a month.
If you know of anyone bigger,
Yeah.
that's-
If you have a bigger colon, you let them know because they
Please
want.
don't.
Step forward.
Anyway, it's a 30-minute virtual tour of the Mutter Museum, and it's really fun. So
That's awesome.
go over on YouTube and check that. Also, in unnecessary remake news, they've been shooting a Children of the Corn reboot in Australia. So you got that to look forward to. You know, they made like 10, I think, Children of the Corn movies. I only ever saw the first one. The first Children of the Corn I saw in the theater when it came out, and I was young. It was like 1983 or something, so I was like 14, and I found it very frightening. But
It is pretty scary.
It
yeah.
is frightening.
it's frightening because it's like, it's children killing adults, which you don't usually really see, and it was pretty spooky. But I'm sure the rest of them are garbage. But anyway, does it really need a reboot? Not sure. Also, HBO is developing a Hellraiser TV series. Do we need that?
Whoa.
No, I don't.
No.
I
who's in
say
charge
we
of it,
do
though?
need it.
Plead your case. Plead your case.
Who's doing it? Do we know
You
that?
just,
I do know that, like, originally with the original
Looks like you put
Hellraiser
somebody-
movie,
Yeah.
They were going for something very different, but they were limited by like censorship laws, and also the technology of the time just wasn't up for what they were trying to do. So I mean, if this TV show can pull off what the original movie was trying to do, then I don't know, maybe it could be good.
So it sounds like we're on the fence here at the Heavy Leather Horror Show about whether there should be a Hellraiser TV series. At least a couple of people are interested in it. So HBO,
Well,
I guess maybe go ahead.
the guy who's at the front of this is the
Okay.
person who made the 2018 Halloween remake and Pineapple Express.
Forget it.
So
Forget
I don't have
it.
my hopes now.
Oh,
Throw
is
it
it
all
Danny
out the
McBride?
window now.
Yeah. Toss of that.
Also, Netflix is developing a Grudge TV series. If you miss the Grudge movies,
Oh God.
you can get more of those.
What is
Every horror
happening
movie
right
just
now?
getting a TV show.
No one can think of anything good, but they still have to keep turning in story ideas during the pandemic. So they're like, what do we got? What do we got we can redo?
All right, let's talk about some movies we've seen lately. By the way, I review all the movies I watch over on Letterboxd, so go to letterboxd.com/sleazegrinder if you want to follow me. I have a few to tell you about, but let's find out what the gang has been up to. Hey, Rui, the 15-year-old intern. By the way, what is the plan for your 16th birthday? What do you plan on doing?
That's a very good question, Ken.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure yet.
Okay.
I'm probably just gonna get a video call with friends.
Okay.
I think I can. The thing I'm using can have up to 25, and it's free. So hopefully that.
Do you have
out.
25
that?
friends?
I was gonna say.
Yeah, should be able to fill it.
Good God.
Wow. What's that
He's
like?
popular, huh?
When I was 16, I had one friend in high school. That's it. Just me and this dude Luke. We just hung out together, and that's it. This guy's got
Mannequins at home.
exactly. This kid's got 25 friends. That's incredible. They're not.
Social media. It's you can,
I would say they're not all really your friends. All
Well, not all of them are particularly close, but you gotta fill up some.
I'm not trying to. No. Rui is definitely a popular kid. However,
Rui's very likable. He has a great personality, and he puts himself out there.
no, it's true.
you, Kate.
It's true. He is a very likable guy. What I'm saying is that statistics show that only 50% of
mandible nipple he has, it's unpopular.
that statistics show that only 50% of the people that you consider friends consider you a friend.
Ooh.
That's so sad.
So that's something to think about.
Is everybody else going through their head right now and thinking about
Yes.
who it is in their friend group that
Making a list.
doesn't?
I'm not gonna sleep tonight, Ken.
So you can go, oh yeah,
Think about how many mannequins I'm going to kick out of my house.
because I can go, oh yeah, me and Kelly Kapow are great buddies. And then if you ask Kelly Kapow in private company about Ken, you go, he's all right. So he's a guy I know. So
Do you think that?
I always say Ken is my friend.
it's because you and I are actual friends. But there's a lot of people on the periphery that that aren't exactly on board with us, and we don't know it because polite society.
So we actually don't have 795 friends?
That's true. Exactly. I have almost
Such a great thing
5,000
for your
friends on
society.
Facebook, and not many of them are
That's
my
bogus, man.
actual
That's
friends.
bogus.
In fact, by
It's
the time we post this on Thursday, my birthday is on Tuesday, and out of those 5,000 so-called friends, we'll see how many actually wish me a happy birthday.
Oh my God, your
Do you
birthday's
want a
coming
parade in
up.
front of your
Yeah,
house?
no.
Should we do a parade in front of your house? We could do that.
You could.
We'll bring you grilled cheese.
What I actually would like is if people do a little video greeting on my birthday would be nice, because I haven't seen anybody's faces, so
Definitely.
that would be fun. Anyway,
Hey,
we're not
do
here
you
to
like
talk
that
about.
song, Goodbye Horses?
We're not here to talk about birthdays, but I want you to have a great one, Rui, and just remember, out of those 25 people, yeah, probably 12 of them are your actual friends. Just keep that in mind. But anyway, maybe 10. All right.
And one of those will betray you.
A couple of them, because a couple of them are just social climbers, and they know you're a popular guy, so they're just glomming. So just keep that in mind too. That's what I do with Kelly.
She should be a life coach.
That's what I do with Kelly. I glom because she's popular. So it's a couple people doing that with you too.
Okay.
All right, listen. Let's get to the movies that we've seen this week. Rui, have you seen any horror movies or horror adjacent movies that you would like to tell us about recently?
I did just watch Dead Time Stories.
Okay.
So that's a bit.
Dead Time Stories, which was the
I'm very
anthology film from the late 80s. Is that correct?
Yeah, so somewhere around that time.
Okay.
So I'm a bit late, but to my credit, I didn't exist back then.
Sure.
So,
That's fair. That's fair.
I really like the final vignette, the third one, because it's just so off the wall. It's like the other two vignettes were kind of trying to be serious, and then the final one is just like it's so wild. It's a retelling of Goldilocks and the Three Bears,
Right.
Except Goldilocks is a telekinetic serial killer. And the Three Bears are a family of bank robbers, and they
What the
team
hell?
up together to fight the cops. It's wild.
Ooh, they're
just
fighting the
look it
cops
up.
though. I like that.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. I love it.
They packed a lot of ideas in there.
They did.
Dead Time Stories. That's fantastic. I saw that on VHS back in the day. How did you see this? Where can we see Dead Time Stories today?
I'm pretty sure it was on Hulu.
Hulu. Very
I think
good.
that's yeah.
Streaming service Hulu. Hey, Jason, the Salem Jason. Jason, of course, let us not forget that every Friday the 13th, Jason puts on his Jason Voorhees outfit, grabs a corpse, and drags it through the streets of downtown Salem. Nobody blinks
That
an
the
eye.
cops love you.
Not only,
You have to repaint the red lines in Salem. So
not only, Rui, not only are the cops okay with it, he is embraced as just as a local celebrity. In fact, his picture, there's an oil painting of Jason in all his regalia hanging in the downtown City Hall. It's for everybody to see. He's
That's quite the honor.
He's one.
I will be running for Slayer of Salem soon, so it'll be good.
What an accomplishment.
Nice.
He is one of Salem's most.
Vote me in for Slayer.
He is one of the most Salem's most beloved. All right, Jason, tell us, have you seen anything spooky that you'd like to tell us about this week?
I rewatched John Carpenter's Body Bags,
John Carpenter's
Oh, I
Body
love
Bags.
that
Okay,
one.
all right.
and it's a good. Just because John Carpenter gets to play a little fun ghoul himself,
Yep.
That's pretty neat. And Dog Soldiers with is it Sean Pertwee he plays Alfred in Gotham. Good fun werewolf movie.
Dog Soldiers is about some actual soldiers in a battle, and then it turns out that they have to fight some werewolves. Right? Is that how it goes?
Yes, the werewolves. Werewolves are pretty cool looking. So
Body Bags is
it's a nice dark movie.
Body Bags is an anthology film created by John Carpenter. Didn't you also see that recently, Kelly Cabal?
Yes, I did. I love that movie so much. It's probably my favorite anthology, I would say.
So there you go. A couple of anthologies. The people are really loving their anthologies lately.
Oh
hey,
yeah.
Hey, Kate Douglas of Murder Minute and Kate's Grim Day Out fame. By the way, Kate, your Grim Day Out from Salem is now up on our YouTube page for everybody to see.
Oh, that's exciting. I get to share that everywhere.
We did some. There was some good acting in that one, I thought. When you were like, Ken, why are we driving to the Walgreens? It really.
You mean the shot that we really, really worked for?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Stacy kept getting in it like 3 times.
Yeah. It was good. You did a good job there. All right, Kate, what have you seen?
I had seen one movie that I really liked and one movie that I really didn't like.
Okay, good.
And I also was showing my partner some episodes of The Twilight Zone before we started this chat today. So that was nice to watch some old episodes. But the movies that I watched, I saw Party Hard, Die Young, also known as Techno Party Massacre.
Right, I've seen that one.
Ooh.
Was that from 2018 is when that came out. It's really wild. It was another one of the movies where like it was just playing on Shudder at the beginning, and I was absentmindedly watching it, which is hard to do when something is subtitled. This whole movie's in German.
Right.
And then I went back and like started it from the beginning and had to watch the whole thing just to really experience it. That's got some cool deaths. It's basically, the plot is it's like German spring break for these college students, and they go to Croatia to an actual festival called X Jam.
Yep.
And it was really filmed at this festival, which is interesting. And, you know, classic horror film, they get picked off one by one, and they can't figure out who would want to kill them all.
There's a scene where one of the characters gets thrown off the roof, right? And then gets impaled on something. That was a good one, yeah.
She gets totally impaled on her way down.
And another, this is another. It just, all of this stuff, it's just so relatable to the world we live in now, because it was another one of these things where, like, look, there's a bunch of people getting killed at this thing. We should probably stop it and just send everybody home. And,
yeah.
And everybody's
Party
like,
hard, man.
fuck that. Let's just keep going, you know.
Not only that, but like the cops get
Why would
mad
you
at
do that?
them. The cops are like, we're pretty sure this is just you guys and it's all your fault, and like your friends are just dying because you're dumb.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. What's it called again?
It's Party Hard, Die Young is the translation, but it's
Right.
also searchable by Techno Party Massacre, which is just a great name.
It's a good one.
So I watched that, and then also the other day I watched Voice from the Stone
Okay.
with what's her name from Game of Thrones, who I can't think of, Emilia Clarke. It's just bad. It's just not good.
Okay.
She's a nurse who helps children who have problems in their family's wealthy manners. It's set in Italy. She gets sent to like help this boy who hasn't spoken for 7 months since his mother died. But he thinks he can hear her voice if he like presses his head up to the stone of this like villa they live in. And it could have been better.
Okay.
You were like, okay, Emilia Clarke's in it. It's got to be okay. And then
Yeah. She does a whole lot of face acting. She's a real eyebrow actor, which 3/4 of the way through the movie I was pretty done with.
Yeah. It's enough with the eyebrows, lady.
Yeah, and I mean,
There's important plot details in there.
Some of it is spooky. It's got like eerie elements. Some of it is well done, and then it's one of those movies where it all falls apart at the end. Like somebody had to turn in their essay and needed to just wrap it up really quick, and so whoop, there's an ending.
Yeah, you know, it's like here's what I just find really difficult about when people make nebulous or unsatisfying endings for movies, is that we go to movies for you to tell us stories with endings, because life doesn't have satisfying endings. I mean, things just stop, you know. Very rarely do we get to tie things up neatly in relationships or in, you know, creative projects or in anything. So, you know, stuff just ends. So in the movies, at least, hey, here's a chance to tell a story and then just give us an ending that we feel good about. And then when they don't do it, I just feel fucking cheated. And half of the time it's like, hey, you know, well, it's open to interpretation. I don't want I don't want to have to work that hard. Just give me an ending.
This was one of the few movies that, like, as soon as I finished it, I started Googling the ending. I was like, I literally typed into Google, like, what happens at the end of Voice from the Stone?
Ridiculous. I'm going to tell you about one like that, too, in a few minutes. But there you go. There's a couple from Kate. Let's find out what Kelly's been up to.
I watched a few movies this week. I watched, I feel like one kind of slipped into Shudder, because I don't know if this is technically a horror or more of a thriller.
Okay.
The movie The Baby, which was made in 1973.
Yeah.
Directed by Ted Post, I believe. So it's about a social worker that takes like a special interest to this case that involves an adult baby being raised by the mother and the two crazy ass daughters. And basically, you know, she gets there and finds out things aren't what they seem. But, you know, there's a few murders that happens. It's pretty fucking weird, I will say.
Yeah.
And then you end up finding out she has her own agenda for the adult baby, the social worker. It's good. I suggest watching it. It's definitely weird.
Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned this one to me and said that they thought that I would like it, but it doesn't sound like I would like it.
You might like it. Ruth Roman is in it. She was a famous actor in the 1940s and 50s. If you know, I found out she was actually born in Lynn, Massachusetts, right next door.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll be damned. The Baby, 1973.
Maybe I'm not talking it up enough. It was just such a weird movie to me.
I want to watch it just because the premise seems so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it always. I mean, it had a very intriguing poster. I remember because it's got like the crib, and then it's got an adult, obviously in the crib, and you're like, well, what is happening there? Why is that?
And he's like holding an axe or something. I don't think that really has anything to do with the movie at all. They trick you.
Yeah.
The poster tricks you.
Right.
Yeah. So there was that one.
Makes me hungry.
I also tried to watch this movie that came highly recommended to me by a dear friend of mine. It's called Hack-O-Lantern. It's from 1988.
Oh yeah, that's not a good movie.
It is. I cannot even tell you what this fucking movie was about.
Yeah.
It is so terrible. Terrible. I found myself so distracted while watching this.
Right word.
I was like doing anything besides I was like counting fibers in my fucking blanket on my couch. It was so bad. I know there's like a satanic grandfather, and there's something to do with a member of his family basically coming of age or becoming part of his satanic cult, and he has to make his first kill or something. It was such a piece of shit.
So you do not recommend Hack-O-Lantern?
I recommend it.
You do. You do recommend it.
If you like garbage movies, I'm going to try to watch it again and see if I can pay more attention.
All right.
But the last movie I watched was 1996 Bad Moon, and that was directed by Eric Red. The thing about me, Ken, I don't know if you know this, I really love werewolves.
Sure.
I love them.
Okay.
And this movie, it didn't really do it for me. It has Meryl Hemingway. Is that her name?
Sure.
Meryl Hemingway.
Yep.
She stars in this. It's basically about this guy gets attacked by a werewolf at the beginning of the movie. He's turning into a werewolf. He moves closer to his sister, who is Meryl Hemingway's character, and she has a son, and there's a German Shepherd in there too. And they basically, how werewolf movies go.
Right.
They're all kind of the same.
Sure.
The movie itself, I didn't think was very good. The storyline, everything. But I did think the world transformation was really cool. Because if you remember, a year later, this movie's from 1996, American Werewolf in Paris comes out, and that's when they got so heavy into the CGI. We talked about this, how they were just using it all the time in the late 90s.
Right. Yep.
Way before they should have. And I think American Werewolf in Paris would be such a good movie if they didn't have all that fucking CGI in there, because it looks so ridiculous. But this movie, I thought the storyline was kind of terrible, but I thought the effects were really cool.
Nice. Bad Moon, everybody. Beautiful.
Bad Moon.
So there's some recommendations from Kelly. I have a few to talk to you about. I'll try to bang through them quickly. I think I have like 6 of them. Here we go. Porno from 2019. It's a new movie. It's the 1980s. A group of teens work in a small town movie theater owned by a Jesus freak guy. While locking up on a Friday night, they find a crazed hobo wandering around in the theater. When they chase him out, he runs amok and he crashes through a wall, revealing another theater hidden inside the theater that had obviously been abandoned for many years, and it was a low-rent porno theater that had suffered a fire in the projection room, and all of the films were destroyed, everybody, except for one reel, which the gang promptly watches because, of course, that's what you would do. Turns out it's a weird satanic sex film that looks like it's from the early 70s or something. And shortly after watching it, the sex demon star of the movie walks out of the screen and starts chasing everybody around the theater. So it's got shades of course, the Demons film and Cigarette Burns, if you remember that, from Masters of Horror. And basically and it also a very strong vibe of basically anything Joe Dante has done. If you know his vibe, it's a lot like that. It's a really fun, like sort of retro inspired horror gore romp. The retro theater atmosphere is great. The ensemble cast of young people working in the theater, they're all great. And while it does take a little while, they build it up, takes a while to get cooking, but when it does, it really does offer some crazy shit that you haven't seen before in a movie like this. Like they really fuck up a guy's testicles graphically and in close up. Guy's testicles get fucked up, and his buddy goes, and he's bleeding in the crotch very badly, and his buddy goes, all right, I pull down your pants. I'm the medic for the football team, and I'll fix it up. But the guy had just found out a second ago, and remember this is in the 80s. The guy found out a second ago that the football guy is gay, so he's like, hey, I don't want you looking at my junk. And he's like, your junk is destroyed, man. What are you talking about? But anyways, pulls down his pants, and you go, all right, well, they're just going to cut away. But then they don't cut away. so you get graphic testicle mayhem, which I've never seen before. It's really something.
Graphic testicle mayhem. That
It's a new
sounds
band
great.
name.
Oh my God, you got to see it.
In a heartbeat.
It's really something.
Graphic. Is that the Heavy Leather? That's the Heavy Leather horror band now.
I'm sold on
Squirm,
that movie.
Yeah,
Ken.
Chris Keneally.
I think everybody will really like this film. It's Porno from 2019. Let me continue on. The Night Clerk from 2020. It is a psychological thriller about a young man named Bart on the autism spectrum. He has Asperger's, which I don't know if they even call it Asperger's anymore, but he does. And he works as the night clerk at a small hotel. And his hobby, unfortunately, is wiring up all the rooms with secret cameras so that he can spy on the occupants. Because he likes to mimic people. He likes to, because like I said, he has the Asperger's, so he's socially awkward and doesn't know how to talk to people. So he spies on these people, try to mimic the way that they talk so that he can relate to them. Anyway, one night he witnesses a murder in one of the rooms. Fearing repercussions, he tries to hide his surveillance techniques, but he ends up under the watchful eye of the detective played by John Leguizamo, who is not sure what he's done, but he knows he's involved somehow, and it's very tense and really interesting. And it was really interesting to see a guy on the autism spectrum be the lead character in a film, which was it was an interesting twist too. The Night Clerk. And what I also liked about this film is that most of it, because I like third shift movies. I like movies that take place during that period of time. And so most of everything that happens in this movie is happening at 3 a.m. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
And you really get a 3 a.m. vibe from it, which is a neat twist. Night Clerk, 2020. Another one I want to tell you about is called Fresh Meat. It's from 2012. It's a really, really fun movie. So there's a gang of kind of like manic, oddball sort of criminals. They're on the run from the law. This is in New Zealand. And they invade a suburban home looking for a place to hide until the heat is off. But it turns out that the family that lives there are cannibals. And then, so then it's a gory, like splat sticky battle between the cannibals and the criminals. And it's great. It's funny. It's bloody. It's like charming because people from New Zealand are very charming in general,
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I'm surprised that no one's really heard of this film because it's I think it deserves a bigger audience because it was really fun and a well-done film. Fresh Meat 2012. Another one I want to tell you about. A Good Woman is Hard to Find from 2020. Brand new.
Ain't that the truth? No.
Right. Really good, tense, bruising revenge thriller about a perpetually put upon single mother played by a woman named Sarah Bolger, who is very good, whose home is invaded by a drug dealer fleeing from the cops. She is eventually forced to kill him sparking off an escalating chain of tragedy and violence when his bosses come looking for him and the drugs that he had stashed in the house. So if you like revenge movies, this one was really excellent. Another one I want to tell you about is called Why Don't You Just Die? It's from 2018. It's an absurdly violent, deep black Russian comedy about a kid trying in vain to kill his girlfriend's malignant father, who is a rogue detective, just with a big mean streak. Whole thing takes place in a tiny apartment, just 4 people trying to kill each other for an hour and a half, and by the end, everybody's dripping in blood and gore. It's fantastic. And
Nobody dies.
Everybody dies. I don't want to spoil it for you. I forget I said that part. It's called Why Don't You Just Die? Maybe everybody dies, maybe nobody dies. Just watch it. One more. 2014's Lucky Bastard is a solid and very realistic...
No, I was going to say, do they actually say the title of the movie?
Oh, Why Don't You Just Die? No, nobody actually says that, but you can see why when you're watching it. Because people don't die as soon as you would hope that they would. So, they're all thinking it. So there's a movie called 2014. It's from 2014. It's called Lucky Bastard.
That's true.
It's a solid and very realistic porn-centric found footage film. That's
Another one?
Yes. That pits a porn actress against a crazed fan. So this guy... Porno isn't actually about porno. Not really. It's a little adjacent. This one actually is about porn. So a guy wins a chance to have sex with a porn star on film for a web series. But the director and the crew humiliate him the whole time because he's kind of a dorky, weirdo guy. So guy decides to kill them all. And so the whole thing just seemed like really unnerving video surveillance footage.
Yeah.
So, it's just like watching these escalating series of murders happen. And you know from the beginning that this is how it's going to end up and you are hopeless to stop it. It's a really... it's found footage, I think, done really well. Also, the woman who played the porn star, incidentally, was Betsy Rue, who had the full frontal 3D nudity in the My Bloody Valentine remake from a few years ago. Did you guys ever see that? The 3D My Bloody Valentine?
I did see it, but I didn't see it in 3D, in my home.
It was great in 3D. We saw it. Stacey and I saw it in the theater in 3D, and it was fantastic.
There's so many parts of the movie that I just sat there by myself going, I bet that would have looked really cool in 3D.
Well, especially this Betsy Rue was she was fighting with the killer, and I remember she had a box spring from a bed or something that she was holding up to try to hold him off. But just full frontal nudity in 3D was something I had never seen before, and I found it really it was really something. There was for a while there. There was a lot of really hard R 3D happening because that was around the same time as the Piranha 3D. Remember that?
I did not see that one.
I didn't see it, but I remember it coming out.
That one,
I've heard of it.
Also, that was also super fun in 3D in the theater. Something I do not recommend is 2019's Vivarium, starring Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots. They get stuck in a weird suburb where every house is the same, and they're forced to raise this strange kid who might not be human. And the whole time you're waiting for some explanation or some resolution, but then you never get one. You never get one.
That's upsetting. It's not fun.
Yeah, you watch it and you go, this is so strange, and you go, it's all gonna pay off at the end. They're gonna tell you what happened. And then they don't tell you what happened. It just all ends.
So it's just a waste.
It's artsy.
I also do not recommend...
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Exactly. Figure it out yourself. I don't want to figure it out myself. All day long I got to figure it out myself. I also do not recommend...
If I pay more money, can I get more movie?
Right. I would. I will pay an extra $1 if you just give me an ending. I also
don't say that. Industry will start taking note of that.
Yeah, exactly. They
are. That's why we have these choose your own adventure things on Netflix.
Oh yeah, they did do that recently, didn't they? I also do not recommend 2015's Man Versus, which could have been a dope survival horror thing. A guy, he's doing one of those reality shows where you survive in the woods by yourself for a week, and then
drink your own urine.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Grills.
And then a spaceship crashes into the woods, and then an alien starts chasing him around. And it could have been great, except they showed the alien, and then the alien was a bad CGI alien, and then you're like, well, fuck, what are you doing?
That always does it when you see the monster and you're just not afraid.
Exactly. It really made me appreciate, the 1950s. I grew up watching Creature Double Feature when I was a kid in the 70s, and they would show all these 1950s monster movies. And watching them the whole time, you're like, because they never showed the monster except for the end. They would show you a minute of the monster at the end, and invariably the monster was ridiculous, and you go, ugh. But they spent their time not showing you the monster, so before that, at least, it was exciting because you're like, what's it going to be like? Oh my god! And you're imagining things. Yeah, you're imagining things, but halfway through, they show you the fucking alien, and you go, ugh, gross. And then that was a workout. I saw another one too last night, but I'm running too late, so I'll tell you about it next week. That I kind of wanted to talk about. But anyway, before we get to the Lodge, which is this week's group watch, it's time, everybody, for the best kill of the week.
That is gross.
Time, everybody. I watch horror films, and in horror films, people die. What's the best kill of the week? Rui, what is the best kill of the week?
Let's see. I mean, I haven't watched much movies, but I guess I'd probably say, like, the werewolf from Dead Time Story. It's
nice. And how did he dispatch his victim?
There's a lot of shredding.
I like shredding. That's a good way to go. Jason.
Actually, I was told by two doctors and a lawyer that I'm not allowed to discuss the best kill of the week.
Okay.
Sorry.
I see what he did there. He did a little twist. He turned it inwards.
Good one.
He turned it inwards. Kate, what's the best kill of the week?
I was thinking it was going to be when the girl gets impaled when she falls in Party Hard Die Young, but there's actually a part towards the end of the movie where someone gets a bottle shoved so far into their throat that they die, and I think that has to be it because it was actually harder to watch.
Yeah, that is brutal. That is a tough way to go, too. The impaling's not so bad because I feel like the impaling is probably pretty quick.
Yeah, I think she only suffered for a little bit. He really had to experience his own death.
Kelly, what is the best kill of the week?
All right, so I'm sure you noticed I didn't really watch many good movies this week. I feel like I got screwed this week.
Okay.
I don't have a best kill of the week, but I do have a good scene that I wanted to tell you about.
Sure.
So after I watched The Lodge, I wanted to check out Goodnight Mommy because I had never seen that one. That one was from 2014.
So good. Oh my God.
It is so unbelievably good. But the scene in that movie that really, really got under my skin was when so the main character, the woman, she's laying in a bed, she's tied up, and the two twin boys are torturing her. And there's a scene where they have like dental floss or something, and they're just like carving into her teeth. Like just imagine like flossing the hardest that you've ever flossed in your life. And they're just sawing away.
I have such a fear of teeth, guys. Like I have a real flossing and teeth like really destroy my inner well-being. That movie is so hard to watch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Intense.
So it's
so good though.
But that's really in Kelly's wheelhouse. Kelly likes really extreme, uncomfortable horror. That's really her jam. Best kill of the week for me was also in porno. It wasn't the general mutilation was just damage. That wasn't death. But there was another scene where the owner of the theater runs into the sex demon in the bathroom. He thinks that she's about to seduce him, but instead she just completely rips his dick off right from the root.
Right from the root.
Right from the root. one big yank, and then it's
Your
gone.
case belongs to me.
I'm sorry. That's not funny.
It was something.
It sounds great. I can't wait
It's
to
kinda
watch
funny.
that one.
The Lodge, 2019, written and directed by Veronica Franz and Severin Fiala. The team responsible, as Kelly mentioned, for 2014's Goodnight Mommy. Synopsis: a soon-to-be stepmom is snowed in with her fiancé's 2 children at a remote holiday village. Just as relations begin to thaw between the trio, some strange and frightening events take place. Oh, let me do a little, here we go. I think I have some, there's some blizzard sounds for us so we can feel, we can feel the isolation.
So cold.
Oh my goodness. So to flesh that out a bit,
My nipples.
the father in the movie, it's too cold now. Now it's too cold. Now, come on.
Yeah,
It's
turn
too
the
cold.
AC down a little
It's
bit.
too cold.
Yes.
So to flesh this out a bit, the father in the movie is a dude named Richard. He's played by a guy named Richard Armitage, and he's some kind of successful writer. He did some book on cults, and he met the stepmom to be Grace, played by Riley Coe. I think that's how you pronounce it. She was part of some Christian death cult, and the two of them fall in love, and they want to get married. But the timing is not.
Sorry.
What? What's Kate? What?
It was just very Heaven's Gatey. I just want to say at the beginning.
Yeah, it was
it's
totally,
super
yeah.
like it draws heavily on Heaven's Gate.
The timing is not great though, because his wife and the mother of his 2 children just died 6 months ago, and he is now foisting this new and very fragile woman onto them. He orchestrates a situation where she is staying with the 2 kids, Aiden and Maya, the 2 kids, at an Aiden and Mia, at a isolated lodge somewhere in Massachusetts in the middle of the winter, and it goes very badly. After a couple of uneasy days, Grace wakes up to find all of their personal belongings, including their phones and her psych meds, are all gone, and there's no power in the cabin. She also finds some paraphernalia around the cabin that suggests that maybe they actually all died in their sleep, and she starts to get the feeling that perhaps they are all in purgatory. Now, before we talk more about this, we should be careful not to give out any spoilers, seeing that this is a new movie. But
Yes.
let me say this. For a good portion of the film, it does seem like they are dead. And that this particular death is a fucking hassle. And I know purgatory as a concept is supposed to be a hassle, but it really had me rethinking death as a concept. Because to me, at the very least, the one thing that we have to look forward to in death is that it is the release from hassle. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the one good thing about it. You know, recently I saw
That's only the beginning.
that's what if there is any fear to be dredged up in this film, it's that death might be a fucking hassle. Because recently I saw Jerry Seinfeld has his series Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and I forget which comedian he was talking to, but they were talking about getting older because Jerry's 65 now, and the comedian was like, "Hey, do you ever worry about dying?" And he said, "No, because when I die, I don't have to do any of this." Which I thought was a great way to look at it, because a lot of life really is a hassle. You got to go to the dentist, you got to go to the fucking RMV, you got to pay your taxes. It's all a fucking hassle. But at least death is a release from all of that. But this movie suggests that it's really not a release from that.
You're just doing all that shit in the afterlife.
Right,
But
exactly.
it's like-
Can you imagine going to the goddamn RMV?
difficult.
Especially because purgatory, you don't know how long it lasts. Purgatory might be 1,000 years. 1,000 years
Oh
of
my
going
God,
to the goddamn RMV. It's
It'd be funny if there were taxes and
Purgatory is definitely at
you got
the
to pay taxes in
RMV.
purgatory too.
Exactly.
Kafkaesque nightmare.
So let's talk about this
Gotta
movie now.
file the
This
right paperwork.
at the beginning, I wasn't sure that this movie was even particularly a horror movie, because it's really kind of a family drama, but it's definitely a horror movie in that for a lot of it you feel abject horror about what's going on here.
It's really stressful.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
loved this movie. I loved this movie
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
I think that this is the best movie I've seen this year.
It's so good. Me and my
Probably.
partner watched it together. We both loved Midnight Mommy. We watched it like this Thursday, I think, and we were both just completely in love with it.
All right,
This
so
movie really fucks you from every which
Yeah.
way.
it really does.
Yeah.
It's an uncomfortable watch for sure.
And you,
but
and you don't feel better after watching it. I felt a
no,
lot worse
you feel
after
worse.
watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those movies that you're like, I'm never gonna fucking see that again. Just like Good Night Mommy. You're like,
I
I'm
agree,
glad
yeah.
that I saw this, but I don't ever want to see this again in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is.
100%.
It is very stressful and anxiety-inducing, and then it is. It's one of those things. It's like afterwards, I'm like, I'm really glad that I went through that experience, but I don't want to go through that experience again. Like, for example, like this movie Porno that I mentioned. I want to watch Porno again. It's super fun. This one is the exact opposite of fun. While I was watching it, I was messaging Kelly about it, and that's pretty much what she said. Well, it's the exact opposite of fun.
I was sweating the whole time.
Yeah.
I was watching it.
Because it had really good pacing, and like you really didn't know what was going to happen next. Like the whole time you were trying to figure out, like, are they dead? Are they alive? What is happening?
It seemed it seemed like the way that it was sort of meticulously crafted, the idea, the concept that they were all dead seemed too easy, because the whole idea is that they're sitting there watching a movie. And by the way, they're watching The Thing, which is of course a horror movie about being isolated in a snowstorm.
It was a great isolation movie for during a pandemic.
Right. It did seem out of character that the three of them would be watching that movie, but regardless, they're watching the movie.
7.
And they make a big deal out of the fact that they're cold, so they have a gas heater, and they are unsure whether, the woman Grace is unsure whether that gas heater is safe or not, and the kid, Aiden tells her, no, of course don't worry, it's safe. So that seemed kind of heavy-handed enough to make you question afterwards. We're like, oh, did they die from the gas heater? That seems too easy, But
Yeah.
But the subtlety of finding the death notices, and then the clock being, a week ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was terrifying. Like, just like the fact the clock didn't move. It's just the same day over and over again. That just like, I don't know, it made my heart just sink.
But the what you're saying, Ken, like where you think it's about, because the whole movie is set right around Christmas, and Christmas hasn't happened yet because the dad is coming back at Christmas, and you keep thinking like, it's okay, the power's out, but the dad has to come back. But then, the reveal of it's January 22nd. When did that happen?
Exactly, and the fact that Dad never came back. I mean, that's the disturbing part, So time had become elastic, which maybe it would be if you were stuck in purgatory forever. So
becoming very relatable, unfortunately.
Well, that was the other thing that was really it was. This is a good time for this movie to come out, because it is very relatable now, because time does have a different meaning at this little particular moment that we're all going through than it usually does. So it really resonated.
I did have a bit of a mental breakdown, I think, during this movie, or at least brought on by this movie, where I was thinking about how time works, and I got too upset about it, and it wasn't good. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
had me questioning
be in a good headspace
mortality
before you watch this. I think maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
definitely very anxiety-inducing.
I had to look at my partner and be like, "When did time start?" Yeah.
It's true. It sounds like it took a lot out of all of us. This
but it's
movie.
really good.
Wait, did we
recommend
like
it.
this movie?
Here we go.
We
Kelly,
loved the movie. We
Kelly,
love the experience.
All right, Kelly Kapow, did you like this movie, The Lodge?
I loved it. Yes.
Thank you. Kate Douglas of The Murder Minute and Kate's Grim Day Out, did you like this movie?
Loved it.
Salem Jason, who drags a dead body around downtown Salem, did you like this movie?
Yes.
There we go.
Did it work?
Rui, the 15-year-old intern, did you like this movie?
Hell yeah, it's very good.
Boom, all around. Dings all around.
Well, Ken, is that you saying yes too?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
No one asked you.
I loved it.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I mean, there is obviously, we are tiptoeing around the fact that there is a reveal in the third act, that I honestly did not see coming. And then looking back, it surprises me that I didn't see it coming.
I knew it the whole time.
Did you know it the whole time?
Yeah. From the beginning, I was like, this is what it is.
Really?
I just won't.
Didn't see it. Didn't see that happening. Did you see that happening? Rui, the 15-year-old intern, did you see that happening?
I did not, but like I just want to say, I know we can't say why, but I just like after that I hated those children. It was I mean,
if things had gone differently, they would have had a great career in graphic design or like building escape rooms or something.
Or acting.
Yeah, I wondered really.
I thought I saw it coming.
I wondered really if you related as also having a teenage mind, if your teenage mind could have created the same scenario.
I mean, like, I don't know. Like, my teenage mind would have, like, created a scenario that's just, like, something minor because it disturbs me that they put that much, like, time and thought into this situation.
Yeah.
You know.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So Alicia Silverstone plays their mom at the beginning of the movie. Yeah, she's there for like 5 minutes maybe. Because as we said, you know, she passes away at the beginning of the film. And I think, did anyone else feel like as the movie went on, they like make Riley Coe look more and more Alicia Silverstone-esque? Like at the beginning, I was like, oh, these are two age different people, but they're white women. You know, who vaguely look like. But then I felt like as the movie went on, and obviously, you know, there's the implications of like a stepmother figure, I just felt like she looked more and more like Alicia Silverstone.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either, but that's an interesting, that may have been a subtle touch that they did include in there. I did think, I will say that I thought it took me out of the story a little bit that it was Alicia Silverstone in the beginning. When it's somebody,
she did a great job.
She did a fine job, but it's when everybody else is an unknown, it makes it easier to buy into whatever the story is.
Well, see, that was also hard for me with Riley Coe, and I don't know if that's how you say her name. I'm also just saying it like that.
Yeah.
But I adore Logan Lucky. That movie is my favorite movie. It's so good. And she plays this like brash Southern character in it. And to see her as this like meek, traumatized character in this movie was very weird. And also Richard Armitage is like in the Lord of the Rings movies and stuff.
Oh, really?
Like,
okay. He was everybody except for Alicia was an unknown to me. So when I don't know the characters, it's much easier. The actors, it's much easier for me to buy into whatever's happening. There's some people that can transcend. Like Michael Shannon, for example, is an actor to me.
Oh my God, Michael Shannon.
He can transcend any character that he's playing. But Alicia Silverstone. We should all
watch Bug. That's my.
Bug is a great movie.
Throw that out there. We should watch Bug.
But Alicia Silverstone is always, to me, Cher from Clueless, no matter what she's doing. So.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just suicidal Cher in this one. The Lodge, everybody.
Cher.
The Lodge, everybody. 2019. Obviously, we all think it's a great movie, and we think that you should check it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's streaming for free now on Hulu. Unfortunately, its theatrical release got hijacked by the pandemic. Although I don't know if this would have been a great theater film anyway. Seems more like
it kind of really is better in the pandemic almost. Like to sit at home alone and watch this like snowed in group of 3 people who have no escape. I think it really played it up.
Also, I just wanted to say as another one of the little bits of extra tension on this is, when I was a kid, I was like, I think 8 or 9 years old during the blizzard of '78, and it snowed for 3 days back then, and it seemed like it was never going to stop snowing. It was like a fair, especially to an 8-year-old, that it's never going to stop snowing. The snow drifts were as high as the top of buildings. And that's one of the things, the little fears in this is that it just didn't stop snowing for the entire film.
Yeah.
It just kept coming down. And even though it was really just a space of a couple of days. As far as we knew, for most of the film, it was a couple of weeks where it just kept
that was
snowing.
the other thing is we had our sense of time of the film was totally warped, and it just snowed so much. And I was trying to keep track of like when they would do exterior shots, I was like, how much snow has gathered? Are those the same length of icicles? Like
Right.
what time has really passed?
Wow.
Yeah.
You were
I
really
was really
thinking
trying,
there.
guys. I did, and they did a good job not really showing you because it was slowly accumulating. Like there's these things out in the front of the house, and you could tell at one point they were like half filled with snow, and then they had like a clump of snow. But everything else was like, no, you can't really tell how much time has passed.
There you go, everybody. The Lodge. Check it out. Fantastic movie. But listen,
great
everybody.
movie.
Yeah.
But listen, everybody. We've been having a great time. Guess what? It's the end of the show.
Aw.
But before we say goodbye, let's get to the plugs. Ooh, here's a little plug music. Oh, that sounds good. Kate's got knives. Not the kind that you stab with, though.
No.
She's got the kind of knives you wear. Tell us about your knives, Kate.
If you check out Spite House Designs, that is where me and my partner have knives for all kinds, but again, not the kind that you hurt people with, the kind that you wear for fun on your body, like pins and necklaces and earrings.
That's beautiful. So go to Spite House. Hey, Jason's got masks, but not the kind to keep COVID-19 away, although maybe, I don't know. They're mostly the
You'd be
kind.
surprised.
They're
I
mostly
don't know
the.
about COVID, though. It'll keep people 6 feet away from you.
That's
Or
true.
put them 6 feet down. Whichever you want.
So you can go to Uncle Boogeyman on Facebook, and he'll
Yes,
hook
sir. Uncle Boogeyman.
and he'll hook you up with some scary masks to wear all year round. You don't have to just wait till Halloween. You can wear them all year
You know,
round.
it is Halloween in Salem every day.
It truly is. Now, Rui, he'd like to steal your street signs. It's something that he's into. So if you live somewhere cool, like if you live on Creep Street or something, you let him know, and he'll be visiting you at 2 a.m. with a screwdriver.
Anybody from Satan's Kingdom, Massachusetts?
Exactly, that'd be
Now's a
good.
good time.
Yeah.
This is a great time to get into petty crime.
By the way, keep
Indeed.
Rui away from Witchcraft Heights. He'd go nuts for the signs up there. Holy smokes!
Don't worry about it.
Every
I'm selective.
every street up in Witchcraft Heights in Salem is like Witch Way and Cauldron Avenue, and
Cauldron Avenue.
They have the greatest street signs, but it's the lamest neighborhood in Salem. It's like Brady Bunch suburbia up there, but they have all these witchy names for there. It's ridiculous.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I know. Go up there, man, with a screwdriver. You'll have a great time.
Stringing together sentences,
And of course, Kelly just wants you to have a good time. Right, Kelly?
I want you to have a great time.
She'll be
I'm all about crime. Petty crime, though.
Kelly will be
of course. Yeah.
Kelly will be scaring you soon enough. Don't worry.
A couple of things going on. I know
Fantastic. Let's
Die
hear 'em.
With Your Boots On is releasing their spring line.
Okay.
So if you're
Very good.
looking for some new black clothing, you want to get gothy in your house, God knows you can't go anywhere. But that whole line is being released. And also, you guys should know our friend Tina at Black Widow Yoga.
Sure.
She's doing a lot of virtual classes, so you can check her out on Facebook, and she lists I think she does like 3 or 4 of them a week, but you can check that out if you feel like doing some yoga. That's it.
I do 2 online workouts a day, and it's been great. So if you can find one,
2 a day?
yeah, I do
Wow.
one. I do one in the morning, and I do
Wow.
one after dinner. And
Wow.
and if you can find a host, an instructor that you really click with, it's really great. I mean, it's one of the nice things that's come out of this pandemic is that these online workouts are really, really helpful for keeping you moving. And
Does rolling from your bed to the couch count as a workout?
well, it's a
I
start.
say yes because that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
It's the start of a workout.
I'm doing great over here, guys.
It's definitely exhausting.
That's incredible.
YouTube.com/Heavy Leather Horror Show, Facebook.com/Heavy Leather Horror Show. Both of those you can find everything that we've done and everything that we will do So go there. Go Campaneros for the podcast as well. All those places. And we will see you next time, everybody. By the way, before we go, House Salem, Kelly, was the movie The Lodge. House Salem, 1 to 10.
10.
It's pretty Salem. It was a little too snowy for Salem, but I'll give it an 8.
I mean, it
Yeah,
was
we're in
filmed
New
in
England.
Canada, and they said it was Massachusetts. That was a bit odd.
Second film
But,
last week. I was talking about some film last week, some survival horror thing where it's the same thing. They were like, "Oh yeah, this is Stoughton Falls, Massachusetts," but they shot it in like Alberta. Canada and Massachusetts do not look alike, but yeah. Where in the world is it that snowy in Massachusetts? Where it's how much snow was on the ground? It looked like it was like many feet of snow on the ground in the lodge. But boy, Canada, they got a rough up there with all that.
Definitely.
Anyway, everybody, great talking to all of you. Great talking to our audience. We'll see everybody next week on the Heavy Leather Horror Show. Until then, stay spooky, everybody.
We gotta get out of here.